Oh my God. Well, let me go ahead and get started. I can jump on in. Hey everybody, it is Daryl Grant with AOC Artist Check-In. Thank you for joining us for another episode. For everyone that joined us last week for the conversation about our classrooms, we appreciate it. If you missed it, you can always check out the interviews from last week and last month with NBAF on our YouTube page, but you can also see on our Facebook page. If you're following us on Instagram, you can go up and go to the top of our profile and click the link in the bio, and it will take you directly to those AOC Artist Check-In virtual conversations. So be sure to keep a lookout for more content coming directly to you on our social media platforms. But for tonight, we have a very special conversation to talk about our content. We're talking to some amazing queens that's creating content here in Atlanta in the midst of the pandemic, y'all. They're still going strong, still uplifting the Black community by telling some great stories. And so my girl Tyra, you ready over there? She's in the driver's seat again, y'all. You know, we're celebrating Women's History Month, and we started with in-house celebrating Women's History Month with our queen and co-producer, Tyra Watkins. So it's all you, boo. Let's have the conversation about our content. What y'all cooking up over there?
Thank you so much, Daryl. Welcome back to AOC's Artist Check-In. We're back for another week. We're still celebrating Women's Month, and we have some more wonderful women that we are going to share and have conversation with you all and just uplift them. So I'm very excited. Again, these are people that I know and work with very well, who are artists just serving the community and creating their content. And that's the theme for today. The theme for today is our content, okay? Black women creating and just doing what they do best. So I'm so excited to share these people with you all and to talk with them and to get their opinions. So let's hop into it. Our first guest for this evening is Ashley James. She is a director. She's an artist. She is a producer. And so I would love to welcome her to the stream.
Hi, Tyra.
Hi, Ashley. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too. You're looking great, girl.
So are you. And our other guest for this evening is a very close friend of mine, a fellow Clarkette. Okay, we're representing Clark Atlanta today. Just a talented writer, a talented poet, a performer, and I would love to welcome Cece Brown.
Hi, Tyra. Hey, Ashley. How are y'all?
Hi.
Hey, it's so wonderful to have you all with us this evening and to just share and talk with you all. So I'm just going to hop straight in and ask you all to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started as an artist.
Here, Cece, you want to go first?
I can. I got started as an artist. I actually started acting like when I was in like elementary school. You know, I was in a little big roles, you know, Frosty the Snowman in there, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, whatnot. I really got into poetry like in middle school. I was going through a great depression, very much so depressed. And I realized that writing about my feelings and things of that such really helped me get through it. So since then, I've just really gotten deeper into like poetry, spoken word, writing, went to Clark, you know, to be an actress, all that stuff. And it just, you know, it just keeps going.
I didn't do much before I went to college. I studied theater in undergrad. I had this kind of urge to like direct films at the time, but it led me down this theater route, and I'm like forever grateful for that. Just because I feel like it really shaped me into the artist that I am and made me the director that I am. I did a little bit of poetry when I was like in 5th grade. So I kind of started writing, but it was like mostly just because I loved reading poetry. And I like had an older sister who had like released a book of like self-published book of poetry. And it just really inspired me. And so I kind of jumped on that theater train for a while, mostly doing directing and kind of producing and behind the scenes. And I love actors and just like helping people get their stories out there and like shaping and molding and stuff like that. So felt kind of natural to go into kind of producing as I like started to transition into film.
Yes, yes. And you all are doing such wonderful work. So we're going to jump in straight into the work. Cece, I would love to talk to you about Faceless Judge, a play that you've written for the Good Trouble series that CAU is partnering with Kenny Leon's True Colors Theater. So just tell us more about that and how the process is and how it was and how it's going.
Right. So the process has definitely been an interesting one. We've definitely learned a lot. Well, I personally have grown as a writer. I feel like Mr. Jamil Jude, Miss Nikki Toombs, Professor Eric J. Little have definitely given a lot of amazing feedback. Just great constructive criticism to help, turn our plays more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just give them more life, help them come through, help our ideas and our visions come through more. And it's definitely been a great process. We casted it, I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't able to go to the casting, the auditions, because I had to work. But I'm definitely confident that my play was casted with the very best. So it's definitely been great.
Yes, and tell us about some of the themes that are in the play. I mean, I know I've read it and I know some things that I've picked out, but what are some themes that you have wanted to highlight in it?
Right. So the themes I really wanted to highlight were sexuality and kind of this conflict between, I'm not going to give a lot of it away, but it's just this conflict between the mother and the daughter. And I just really wanted to touch on that and how sometimes our trauma can come from our family and how we don't really address that a lot. We tend to focus on outsiders causing trouble and problems within our lives, but we really don't focus on how it can come from inside the house. Mm-hmm. So I definitely wanted to touch on that.
Yes, and I love how, without giving too much away, there's also that theme of generational trauma and like you're doing this because that is what your mother did to you, but like I want to be the one to stop this cycle, yes. And that's a very big theme for us in the Black community. So I hope you guys get to see it, watch it, preview it. I've read it. I'm so excited to see it come to life. It's great work and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And so we're going to hop over to Ashley and I would love to talk to you about Blood Flow, which I got to work with you on, which is great. And also Scars, which we worked on together recently, and any other projects that you're working on and want to share.
Well, I'll start with Blood Flow because it really feels like it kind of like was my welcome back to Atlanta. I recently graduated from FSU in August. So I had just gotten back and I got a chance to do this with 7 stages, and it was based off of Robert Earl Price's poetry by the same name, book of poetry, Blood Flow. And it was I was almost like commissioned to figure out how to put this work into a visual filmed form. And it was quite challenging because there's so many great pieces of poetry in that book. And so it was kind of like, how do I make them all come together where people can also have an experience? Also, it was something that was filmed during the pandemic, so safety was a big concern. How do we work with actors? How do we work with our talent that's coming in? As you know, you were there. Honestly, it was such a healing experience for me. And I'm really someone who values process as well as the product. And so just being able to get in the space and kind of let people do their thing. Mostly it was kind of like my curating of the project versus just kind of like, directing it, just kind of making sure people feel safe, making sure people feel open and vulnerable. And then you have to kind of create an environment where they feel that they can get in there and that you're also going to like hold them up and support them, even if they get to kind of a low place. So it was a lot of energy in the space that came into that project. I'm pretty proud of it. And I hope at least the talent that works with me also, took away a little bit of snippet. I still think back to that time and it was really healing for me to get to work with everyone. Scars is something that I've been kind of teetering on for the last year with one of my creative collaborators, Destiny Renee. I've known her since I was an undergrad at FSU. And I always kind of come to her with different work. So I've kind of been talking to her about it probably since last summer. And I wasn't quite sure because I imagine it as kind of like a theater space, and Scars is essentially a self-reflecting. So each individual kind of collaborator would kind of self-reflect on their own personal scars and trauma, and kind of the stories behind them and how that trauma lives in their body. And so it became time, like, after, sitting with it and talking with her about it, is like, how do we kind of start the process of making it happen? And after working with you and working with Robbie, I felt like you guys would just be such great collaborators to bring in on it. And so now it's really kind of in the infant stage. We just had a photo shoot essentially to kind of highlight different areas for different people, and which I love. I think I've started to see some of the images for it. Yes, it's very fun. And it's kind of like identifying everyone's individual characters, so it's like now defining what the next stage of that will be for that project specifically. Other than those two like specific things, I still work with 7 Stages quite a bit. I also work in the film industry here, just really trying to learn that industry. I'm all about, as a producer, I really want to give the artists autonomy and really just be that support for them. So learning, things about funding, things about financing for films, so I can support the artists here in Atlanta. And yeah, mostly that's it. I also work with a couple of director writers as a producer and kind of like managing them and trying to like get their work out there as much as I can.
Yes. And I think what you said about blood flow, like really a healing process. And I think Scars was also, like, as an artist that participated in both of those, it was very healing to kind of like sit and think about your trauma and how is that manifested and what does that look like. It was a sort of self-expression that helped to start the healing, to be like, this is how we got here. How do we like patch up these things and work on them? So I'm very grateful to have been a part of both of those projects, because it definitely has got me thinking and healing. And I feel like everyone wants their work to be healing and for people to learn from them. So it's very wonderful work. So you're doing, look at all the things you're doing. Just amazing. And so I would like to ask you both, what inspires you as an artist? What keeps you going? If you fall into a rut, if you get writer's block, what kind of helps get you back into that zone?
Well, I'll say my friends, they definitely are a big inspiration to me. I actually started on a movie idea that my mom gave me before she passed away. I started on it last summer, and the only reason I started on it was because my friend gave me like this pep talk. He was like, yeah, I saw you doing your mini series, and it just really inspired me to start writing. And so, he was low-key going in. He was like, it would be a waste if you didn't write and just all this stuff. So I ended up writing that idea out more in like 2 or 3 days, maybe. I mean, just the first draft. But yeah, I feel like my friends really inspire me. And then just the state of the world. In my head, I feel like it could be so much better. It is just so much better in my head. And I feel like in order to get even remotely close to that place, things have to be changed. And I want to show that change in my work. I want to kind of set the tone for things going forward, how we could go about the change.
Yes, that's beautiful. Creating those worlds of change, so then we can usher them into reality. That's amazing.
Yes, what do they say? Art imitating life, or life imitating art. Yes. It's you kind of have to switch it around, so you get a little bit of, you know what I mean? You kind of set the tone for where you want the world to go.
Yep, exactly.
True. Yeah, I love that, and I mean, I feel it's weird because for a long time I didn't really consider myself an artist. It wasn't a natural thing for me. I was, I'm a very logical, I like math. It has answers, there's equations, and you're going to get a singular right answer. Mm-hmm. But that's exactly why I kind of wanted to go to that route of creating, because there almost are no right answers. It's just kind of listening and understanding. I think I approach artistic work from a psychological point of view, where I'm really just trying to learn the human condition and understand the human condition. And kind of in a wide ranging way of understanding people from all walks of life, so that inspires me to keep creating. And, it's hard, especially with the pandemic, being in school, especially as artists, we've been so conditioned that art needs to be a struggle. that we have to be always starving artists, which I do not agree with. But it's like, so how do you balance that life? You know, like working all these jobs just to kind of make ends meet. But it's like, I know there's something in me that needs to be creating in some fashion, in some form all the time, you know, and I see that in my other friends, you know, like yourself or Robbie or Destiny, and just kind of, you know, wanting to lean on each other, kind of how Cece was saying. It's like your friends inspire you, and I'm sure you inspire them as well to like keep going, even when it's extremely tough to like sometimes exist or, you know, pay your rent or, you know, your car note or whatever, just kind of like leaning on each other.
Yeah, no, as a recent graduate into this adult world, as an artist, I feel that 100%, because it's like those days where you just need to pay the rent, but it's like I want to be and create and live, and it's just finding that balance. And so you kind of already touched on it actually, but just how have you both been navigating the pandemic, and how has that impacted your art?
Girl, I wish it was a pandemic for real. Like, I mean, I feel like the pandemic for me, it was unnecessary, but it was also necessary. It brought on a lot of, in my ego mindset, a lot of unnecessary emotions that just didn't need to occur for me. But in my, you know, my higher self kind of mind, it was very necessary. So I need to learn how to navigate those emotions, how to heal, how to you know, work with the with parts of myself that maybe I reject or I don't give enough love to, that kind of thing. So I really feel like the pandemic was kind of a blessing in a way for me to be able to come more into myself. And of course, I've definitely had to lean on some friends, you know, because if you're rough out here, Tyra, you know, you be there for me all the time. But yeah, I feel like that, and just kind of staying off social media. Yeah, definitely got to stay off social media. It'd be really triggering on there for me sometimes. But for the most part, I feel like I've been able to navigate the pandemic as best as anybody else has, really.
For me, you know, I was still in school. I was finishing up my graduate program for film, and I was in Tallahassee. I had maybe like 4 months where I was just kind of like spending so much time by myself. And I really tried to take that time to not only like be self-reflective about just where I was in my life. And I was blessed to have that time because, you know, being in school, I didn't have to worry. Like I was still kind of like, you know, a part of the institution. So I wasn't like, you know, so worried about rent. I knew that there was going to be a deadline. I knew I was getting back to Atlanta soon, and that kind of was rushing towards me. But I did take some time early on just to kind of say, here is where I am and where do I want to go. And similar to what you were saying, Cece, it was just like self-reflecting and just kind of like slowing down. I read a ton. I watched a ton of movies. I wrote a lot. That's, you know, when I started to connect with some of the directors that I'm still working with. And it was really great time just to kind of like solidify those collaborations and that urge to say, we're going to create no matter what. And like creating that like almost contract that like keeps you accountable to each other. Like we're going to check in and we're going to do that. And like, it's nice because I've seen that those relationships have only like grown since that time. So it's like when I'm having a bad week, when it's like, I feel like I can't get anything done, I'm like, I can go to my collaborator and say, hey, yeah, this has been it. You know, and there are the realities too of like safety and how you can create work the way you want to. Like as theater artist, you know, it's so just invigorating to get into a space and feel other people's energy. You know what I mean? And we've all kind of had to adjust to this virtual timeline, which in a way has also been good because it has connected you to people, you know, maybe in other cities or in other countries that you wouldn't have normally been able to connect with. You know what I mean? But then it's kind of like, so I'm looking forward to being able to get into a space again with people and create and like, you know, challenge each other and push each other. Especially like I come from a world of physical theater too. And that's a really big part of my personal work. But also I like this idea that, yes, we can also be connecting with people who are far away, who are doing things similar to what we want to do. You know what I mean? Like, so we just can be inspired by people from all over the world versus, you know, in our smaller bubble. So we can continue to like expand and learn and grow.
Yes, absolutely. I think this pandemic, I definitely had the chance to meet people from all over the world, which has been great. But there is nothing like that physical intimacy of working with a partner, being in the space and just interacting with them. And that, like, I think a lot, especially for theater people, like that was part of the challenge when everything first started, because everything with theater is so intimate versus sometimes with film it can be as intimate, but like sometimes it's just you and the camera. So that definitely was an adjustment for me, as for you all. And so I coming out of the pandemic, well, we're still in it, but like what came out of the pandemic was this surge of Black art and Black content and Black people really wanting to take charge of their own narrative. So do you guys see yourself as a part of that movement? And like, if you do, like, how do you feel? Or like, do you not see yourself as a part of that movement? You're just like an individual creating your own work.
Oh no, I'm definitely part of the movement. I've definitely already solidified my part in the movement. I feel like my part is, it's a movement. So, it's gonna be some obstacles, some challenges, but I feel like my part, I'm really big into psychology, theater major, psychology minor. I feel like my part is to help facilitate the healing. Like, okay, we didn't tore down what we needed to tore down. We done built these new structures, but how do we deal with what happened during that time? So I definitely feel like my place in the movement is to help facilitate that healing, facilitate a healthier transition forward, to kind of deal with what we went through, not to mask it. I definitely don't want to minimize it or anything else. I just want us to definitely, after we tear down the structures that we need to tear down, that we move forward into a brighter future.
Very nice. And I'll say this is something that I've always, I think, throughout my career struggled with, because I consider myself like very attracted to the other, and not in any definition of the word. It's just, coming from like, I'm from a like really small town in Alabama, and I didn't grow up like traveling or doing a lot of things. And so like, film was a lot of ways it like opened me up to different worlds. And I mean, like, foreign films, like when I got into that. And so it's interesting to me to kind of like, I'm also like wary of like setting boundaries on myself, whereas like I'm very much an artist of color. I'm very much a Black female artist, a Black female filmmaker, and I identify as that. And I understand the like responsibilities in that, you know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting for me just because I see so much of myself. Like, for example, one of my close collaborators, Mazen Khaled, is a 53-year-old Lebanese man. Like almost kind of opposite ends of the spectrum as you can get. But there are so many times where we'll talk and like the work that we collaborate on, like you kind of can see yourself reflected in that. And he can see himself reflected in my stories, and he also learns from my stories, conversations about colorism, which, are some things that he, maybe didn't know about. But, I can kind of have those conversations. And it's so much about, and, we both work with 7 stages as well. And this idea of like bridging those gaps. So we can open up a space where everyone can be seen and heard, you know what I mean? And kind of creating that kind of pathway to understanding. But yes, I think I'm a part of the movement for sure. My work doesn't always have specific, characteristics that might be considered, I guess, like a Black artist. Or like a Black film or Black this, you know what I mean? But it's not separate. It's all a part of it. If my hands touch it, it is a part of the movement, I think.
Period. I definitely feel that. I feel like that's like my second role in the movement, because I definitely want to get, more Black representation and things of the such. But I also feel like, I'm really big into mental health. I'm really big on sexuality. I'm really big into spirituality. And those topics aren't just, related to Black people. Like everybody has, those struggles, those run-ins with those topics. So I feel like, if anybody else outside of the Black community can feel what I'm writing, can relate to it, can see themselves in it, I definitely feel like that's a win for me.
Yeah, I think it's so much about expanding this idea of like, and I think, one reason why I bump up against it is because a lot of times when people are trying to diversify, this happened to me a lot in undergrad, and I was really like it would make me really angry. It's like, well, come be as a part of our series, like the multicultural show. like, come fill this void, this space that we've left for you. And it's like, no, my space is so much more expansive than that, than what you can kind of dream for me. So sometimes it's like, you know, interesting to put different labels on it, but it's like, it's so much bigger than that. And so many times you have people who are going to connect with your stories, you know, from different parts of the world. And you never like could think about that. But like, yeah. So I completely agree.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Black stories have universality. We just need the platform to be able to show that, so other people are seeing and relating and like, oh no, I understand this. Because like, look at how Black people in music, like, that reaches all across the world. Like, everyone can empathize, sympathize, and feel. It's the same thing with Black stories, you know. You just need to get them out there and talk about it. So look, I appreciate you both for adding to the movement and being a part of the movement and just making sure that we have space and opportunity to tell our stories. So, is there a message or intent or goal behind your work? I know you guys kind of talked a little bit about, you know, your place in the movement. So it's along the same lines, but just, is there a general message about the work that you're putting out, or like what you want to do with it?
I feel like I got a couple messages a little bit. More so for the Black community, I feel like, you know, just expressing Black love, Black joy, Black happiness. I feel like that's definitely a message I want to get across, and more so a universal theme of, you know, just I mean, in a perfect world, you know, everybody loves everybody. Like, there is no separation. Like, we all come from the same source energy, you know, just getting people to kind of, even if they don't like fully accept that, maybe just think about it, consider it, you know, maybe even question it. Maybe we can go like a little back and forth, you know, have a discussion about it, but just being open to the possibility that, you know, maybe we all are the same, just a tad, just a little bit. Maybe we have a couple similarities that we can, you know, relate to each other on, that it just doesn't have to be so much division and hatred and animosity, and it just maybe it just doesn't have to be all that. Because that's in my perfect world.
It's a hard question. That's like always the hardest question, is like, what does your work say? Because I'm always asking questions, I think. Like, I don't know, like, what are the answers? You know, it is, I think ultimately it's like, yeah, we're all the same. You know, we all have the same reactions to things. We're all, you know, struggling with some of the same things and trying to figure out the answers to them. So I always approach my work with like, what is the question? Like, you know, with scars or blood flow, or with some of the other work, or it's like, okay, all the questions that I have, I feel like other people have them too. We just all kind of are like unsure how to tackle them, or how to climb that mountain and figure out, you know, the answer. And is there only one answer to it for each individual, you know, who comes from like such a different place? Like, how do we bridge that gap? And I think, you know, as long as we can keep asking questions, there's learning to be had. You know, like my grandfather used to say, like, you know, you watch TV all the time, but like, what are you taking from it? Like, what are you learning from these films, whether like it's a romantic comedy or a like serious drama? Like, what are you taking from it? And I think that's my goal, is for one person, you know, hopefully more, to like just take something from the work that like will stay with them and maybe help them find like be a little bit closer to an answer to their question.
Yes. And that's interesting. That's something Cicely Tyson had talked about. Whenever she performs as a character, she always asks the character, what is she supposed to learn from portraying them? And that's something that I started incorporating into like my own artistry. So I think those questions are valid. But sometimes people get so scared to share and be open and vulnerable, they don't know that someone else is asking the same questions, because they're not saying that they have those questions. So, you know, we're very thankful for you all for providing the answer. So asking these questions and then trying to figure out an answer through your artwork, because like that helps other people be like, this is similar to me. I can relate to this. So I'm not, you know, going through it alone, because a lot of the anxiety, the fear, the depression is feeling alone in this, when actually everyone is, like you said, going through the same thing. And so that just helps create that universality that we keep talking about, that is like a reoccurring theme, which is great. And so to wrap up, you know, what are some works that you guys have coming up? I know we've touched on a few of them, but anything we can support you in? Where can we follow you? Where can we connect with you? Like, if I'm if I want to learn about poetry, if I want to get my work produced, like, where can we follow you?
Right. So I feel like right now a faceless judge is like my biggest project coming up. I definitely still have some more things in the work, but that should be, I want to say, that should be coming out in a couple of weeks sometime. In a couple of weeks, if y'all follow me on Instagram at official CC Brown, y'all will definitely get the latest updates on everything. I got a website coming up. You know, I'm taking this seminar class, so I have an official website in around May. So I'll let y'all know about that too.
Yes, thank you.
For me, you know, I have a couple of things that are like kind of still like being packaged up nicely. As a producer, I always feel like I'm like in the background, just kind of lifting up these artists that I work with. So it's like, you know, I do have, of course, Scars. I think we're gonna, you know, do a big preview of that from the photo shoot that we did. So we'll be putting some of that content out on social media, kind of mostly just kind of to get feedback from people and kind of like share the characters and kind of how they influence and how they react into the work. So I'm really excited for that. Like, oh my gosh, Tyra, like, your images are gorgeous, girl. Wait till you see them. They're so good. But it was such a fun time. So I'm excited about kind of like getting that ball rolling with that work. And you can follow me on AJ from Bama on Instagram. Yeah. And yes, if you need anything produced, reach out. I'm all about supporting the work.
Look, we might have to pair you guys up. Get Cece, she should get some more of her writing, her movie.
No, but for real. No, but for real.
See, look, now we're already making those connections. Right. And like you said, you as a producer, you take the backseat sometimes. We are so happy to have you on this platform to uplift you so you can have that moment of shine because you deserve it. You are providing and giving such good work that is like changing me as an artist, so I can only imagine what it's doing for everyone else. So we just wanted to uplift both of you and the amazing work that you are doing. I'll be tuned in to Faceless Judge. I'm so excited to watch.
Yes.
And I just thank you both for being on the stream with us tonight and for sharing with us. You guys are both my close personal friends. And so I'm always happy to talk about you and the work that you're doing and uplift you all. But thank you for sharing your messages and your words with everyone else as well.
Thank you for having
us.
Thank you. All right. And I will see you guys soon.
All right.
All right, everyone, that was our content with Ashley and Cece. We have another segment for you all to highlight Women's Month. So let's go check that out.
Hold on, Tyra, 1 minute. I just want to pop back in to say thank you. The first segment of this conversation has gone so well. You did an amazing job. But while I have everyone's attention, I want to remind you all to keep it locked and follow us online on all social media platforms, Artists of Color ATL, specifically on Instagram and Facebook, YouTube. This month is March. It's Women's History Month. And we're highlighting some amazing Black queens on our page this month. You'll see some familiar faces. Tyra Watkins, our amazing co-producer. You'll see Paris Sauter. She's an amazing actress and advocate here in Atlanta doing big things. Always a thrill to see her on stage. Carrie Garrett. We talked to her early on in the year for our arts and culture conversation. Hey, Carrie. And also, last but not least, you'll see we have Destiny Renee, who joined us for our last week's conversation, who's over at 7 Stages as the Director of Education. So I want to encourage you all to make sure that you uplift and salute all the amazing Black queens in your life that are doing amazing things this month and every day of the year. Continue to support them. And also keep a lookout for our next opportunity that we have for artists in Atlanta, for Black artists in Atlanta to share their talent. We are rolling out Monologue Monday here at Black Theater Group. So if you want to share your talent on Mondays and your monologue is selected, you receive a $25 gift just for us highlighting and showcasing your amazing monologue and your talent. So keep it locked on how to participate in that project. It will be rolling out on April 1st. But for now, let's get back to our content.
Welcome back. Thank you so much, Daryl, for telling us all about BTG and showing us where we can follow Artists of Color on Instagram at. Y'all make sure you follow, like, subscribe, comment, all of those wonderful things. So we are back and we are talking about our content. So the content that Black women are creating in the industry in Atlanta. And so up next, we have my personal mentor. Oh, I love this woman so much. She is hardworking. She is talented. There honestly aren't enough words to describe her. She has touched my life in such a beautiful, wonderful way and inspired me as an artist and has pushed me and driven me. And she has a long list of accolades under her belt. If I was to give y'all a bio, we would be here all night. So without any further ado, I would like to invite Tanya M. Jackson to the stream.
Hello, and your check is in the mail, Tyra. Introduction, baby.
Oh, absolutely. Like I just can't say enough. Like, you have blessed me so much. It's such an honor to have you here, to talk with you, and to just uplift you in the work that you are doing.
Thank you so much. I'm beyond grateful that anybody wants to have me anywhere. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. So we just want to ask you a little bit to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started as an artist.
That's a loaded question, right? I think that, when people say this, I know it gets on people's nerves, but it's the truth. It's just what I was born to do. Like, it's not based on how everything manifested in my life and based on how I look back on my life and reflect. There is absolutely nothing else that I could have done or that I would have wanted to do. I remember when I was a little girl, my mother and them said I used to be so loud. Like, they were like, oh my God, like everything was loud. And I would make my friends, if I had friends, I always had to be the leader, and I would make them do plays and skits. Like, I would put costume on, we're gonna act out in front of the adults like that. And they said, you just did it. And they would like do it for you. And you would be younger than them. And I remember also being younger and watching shows. This is before your time, like Zoom and Electric Company and stuff like that. And not understand, like I would cry because I didn't understand why I wasn't on there. Like, I would tell my mom, take me where there is and tell them that I need to be on there. I'm not supposed to be watching it. I'm supposed to be in the show, doing it with them. And I would cry, like it was a thing. And so I just went on with my life. And I remember, again, I would always take, like in school, we would have stuff elementary all the way up. I would take nursery rhymes and stuff that did, like Goldilocks and all of that. And it never looked like us. So I would say, okay, we're going to do Goldie and the Bears. And instead of Goldilocks, and I would just remix it and make my friends act. Like, and so I was a little actor producer then. And then I was always on the cuff. Like, I could have either gotten in trouble and did some bad stuff or did what I'm doing now. And I remember theater saving my life, literally. If it wasn't for the theater and if it wasn't for acting, I would be doing a profession, but it wouldn't be this profession. You know what I mean? So I thank Jan Mandel, who introduced me to the Black Box Theater. And in that Black Box Theater, we were able to write stories about us who were from the hood, about our experiences. And we had this group called Neapolitan Players, and we would tour all around Wisconsin and Minnesota and do our work in front of people who didn't know about our experience. And we wrote those plays and songs, and we were able to perform those. And then I went on to college, and then I, became a number theater company member, worked Guthrie, regional theater all over the country. And so my life just unfolded as an artist. And then in the middle of that, I always had mentors and artists for social change around me in the Twin Cities. When you're an actor, social change is a part of it. Like, that's just what we do. If you're an actor, you figure out what your mission is in the community and you figure out how to do that. And it's always been young people for me. I always wanted to give back to those young people who were like myself, not knowing what to do, on the cuff of about to get in trouble, and making art save their lives and figuring out how I can bridge the gap to those kids who want to do it but don't have the resources. Like, that's my jam. Working with young people like you, young women, younger babies, like, that's where I live. I am not anti-white, but I am very pro-Black. I rep the community. I will always rep the community, no matter how much money I have. Even if I live in a nice neighborhood, everybody in that neighborhood is probably going to be Black and affluent. That's just how I roll. I'm not going to move out of the community. And that's just what it is. So everything that I give and everything that I try to do I'm a real one. It comes from a real place. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I cry in 5 seconds because I hold the community and things that are going on in our world in my heart. And I don't feel good if I can't be a part of making something happen. I'm not an artist who just wants to audition and give me a job. I want to see how I can feed the project. How can I feed the theater company? How can I feed the block? How can I feed the community? How can I feed y'all? How can I rip myself open and pour myself out and give you everything I have because it was so freely given to me? All of those people who snatched me up off the block and said, your ass is going to go in here and do this. That's what I do. And I do it from just a real place. It's just not phony. I'm just not a fake person. And I just love it. And that's just who I am as an artist. I don't know what else to say about it.
Y'all see why I love her, right? Y'all see, did y'all hear that whole spiel? This is why I love her. The realness, the authenticity, the willingness to give and just be present in the moment. Like, just, I can't say enough. So I'm gonna keep going. But you talked about how you worked with, you like to work with young women and give back to the community. And so, you've had these multiple sessions of your masterclass, which is how me and you met and got very closely acquainted. And I'm gonna tell a really quick story. But actually, Paris Sarter is the one who gifted me the ticket basically to your class. She paved my way because I was working with her on a project and asking her, like, how do you know that you have the education, the background, the training? Where do you go? What do you do? And she looked at me and said, you need this class. She said, you need this class. She's like, and I want to gift it to you. And so that just shows the power of Black women working together in the community. And so I just want to talk to you about the masterclass and how you thought to put that together and just all of the wonderful things that came out of it.
I put that masterclass based on my own brokenness. I was completely, I had come off of a show. I was doing a show, Lord have mercy, at Trinity Rep. I had just finished Radio Golf on a high, about to do a show, another TV thing. And then COVID hit. So we're in COVID. I'm going through some stuff in my personal life. I'm completely shattered. And I said, the best way for me to get out of my brokenness is to give back. I had talked to younger women in the community and nobody knew what to do. People were depressed. People were drinking. People didn't know, like, what are we going to do now? Like, how do we create content? And I said, and then I got my TCG grant. One of the things in my TCG grant, which is with True Colors, is that bridging the gap. Always helping, everything. And so I said, you know what? I was supposed to travel overseas and study and do all of this stuff and then come back and do this. I said, well, I'm gonna have to circle around and do it the back end. I said, but I don't have anything to offer really, because I gotta go study in Europe and Africa and I gotta go do all this stuff. But then I said, I'm just gonna go with what I know. And I put it together and gave it away. Like, I paid for all that. I paid all of the artists who came in to teach you guys, and I just did it for free, the first few of them. And then I was like, okay, I got to do a couple of $3 or something, but I just wanted to give that so that I didn't want us closed up in those houses by ourselves. I didn't want you guys in there not being able to have a community of Black women like yourself who were feeling like you to be closed up in those houses, broken and shattered like me trying to figure it out. I wanted you guys to learn how to create content. I wanted you all to pull all of that stuff out of you that's been lying dormant and give it out to the community, because it's give and take with me. It's never up and down, it's back and forth. And so I wanted to give that offering just to see what was going to happen, and then looking and seeing all of this talent and people not tapping into it. And I do have a thing where I know how to get in there with you guys and tap into your heart, because the heart reaches the heart. And I figure if as an older actress, I've already been where you guys are. And I'm like, if I was in this situation, this is what I would want somebody to do for me. So I just do what I would want somebody to do for me and what was given to me. So I was like, put you all to, and I didn't even think it was going to work. I said, ain't nobody going to come. They're going to be like, girl, bye. When I tell you people were signing up, I'm like, oh, now I got to do it. And so I consider some of my baddest friends that are out here doing the work, and they have the same kind of passion. As you can see, Brittany and everybody and Tracy and everybody we brought in, and they were like, yes, girl, I'm down. And so we just came and gave you guys that offering, and it was really out of the heart and brokenness and making sure, that we all stayed afloat, because we'll get out of this, and we can't be coming out of here raggedy. Like, we have to be on point. And then George Floyd happened. So I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys, you guys already had it. You know what I mean? To make sure that we were on the front line for that particular mission, right? For fighting for Black women, for fighting for Black boys, for fighting for our Black existence, right? Because that happened in my hometown in the Twin Cities. And so right then the activism happened. So I was like, we have to do this workshop. And you guys are out there creating content. Y'all look amazing. People are getting married. People are booking work. Miss Alexis, I was like, girl, her videos just shut me down. Tyra, you are out here just killing the game. And I'm just happy to see that everything that I wanted to give to you all, that you took it and you ran with it. Because look, we're going to be gone. A lot of my people who, Lori Carlos and all the people that I had, a lot of them are gone. So I'm passing the baton on. Once I move on, then you guys shift over and you do the same thing. You pay it forward.
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm about to cry just sitting here, even thinking and talking with you about it, because that masterclass, it wasn't just about the art and the work. Like, yes, it's about the art and the work, but it was almost like a spiritual retreat and emotional. And, you know, as artists, we work so heavily with our emotions. So for us to just come together as Black women and have that community for a second, and where you were like, look, we're not faking. We're not coming in here being fake. Oh, I'm doing fine. How are you? No, we're coming in, we're being real, and we're talking about the issues. You were taking care of our artistic and our mental health and our emotional. And it really was a transforming experience. And like you said, you see that where all of the women that I was working with and you were working with, they're out here creating their own content. You have inspired and created content creators.
I know. It's crazy. I've been looking like y'all about to kill me now. I can't take it. I've been crying and stuff. I'm like, look at my babies, you know, because I collect people, right? And so I've collected all of y'all, and you guys do not know how much I love you. Like, I love you past the flesh and to the bone. Like, I love y'all. And we were up in there, and we were just throwing up and just healing. And the beautiful thing about that, not one time did we bash a man. Men didn't even come up. I don't create spaces like that. I love the men too. Now but I love the men too. Listen, y'all. But the thing is, it was about us, because I'm also about taking responsibility. Like, right. So even if I did I wasn't a hostage. Right, I was a willing participant in whatever kind of crap that was going on in my life, right? And I wanted to make sure that we all took ownership of our own place and spaces that we put ourselves in. So we didn't have room for that. We were up in there healing and laughing and loving and figuring out our own thing, so that we can come out and into the community and be bad to the bone. And I was cussing and doing all the stuff that I do. You know what I mean? But I wanted to let you all know that I'm like a real one. Like, I'm not, and I said that's about the 4th time I said it, because I need for people to know that when they come to me, even people who I coach, they're like, we never had it like this. I'm like, because I'm not going to give it to you like that. I've been an actress, a professional actress with an equity card since I was 19, and that was in 1993. And so I know what you all are going through. And it was different for me back then. You guys have a lot more stuff, you know what I mean, that you can do. We had, look, a pen and a piece of paper and a rock and a stone and rolling it uphill. You better try to, a black and white photo. You better. A bottom pin or something. So you better try to figure it out. So, with that, just wanted to let you all know, that I've been there, done that. All of these emotions, I know them. So let's put them all on the table. And you guys put that stuff on the table so beautifully. Circling back, like I said, when I coach, I just come from a real spot, and people enjoy that and they love it. Particularly when I have Black women who only worked in white spaces, who only had white coaches, and who only had white teachers. Sometimes it's hard for them to trust me. Right? Because they're like, we never had that. And then we want to know, if you've been doing this for 150 years, why aren't you in a particular spot? And I tell them that story. So if you do that, then you might not be in this spot. But there's something called recovery, and there's something called getting your shit together. And so I went through something in the middle of my acting career, right? But I'm a survivor. And so I wanted to give that to you all too, that no matter what you're going through, it's not done until you're done. I want to go out like Sicily, honey. Like Miss Tyson, baby, with a script on the table, say I'm about to take a nap, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? all of that longevity, no scar. You know what I'm saying? And so that longevity is what I wanted to also give you all. I know that I'm all over the place. That's how I roll, but it always comes back around. That was another thing that I want. Teaching you guys to have longevity in the business, not being a one-hit wonder.
Absolutely. And that definitely came across, and you really just empowered so many of us to just tell our own stories and like be authentic in who we are, which is why you see things like this. That is exactly why AOC BTG, because we want to talk to us about our stories, about what's going on, how we can share, promote, and create that community. So just thank you from me personally, and I'm sure from all of the other women that were able to take the masterclass. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm completely in love with all of y'all.
Yes.
All of y'all.
So, I claim it. Absolutely. Yeah. So I know you also did a short film about like kind of how you were navigating the pandemic. So tell us what that was like for you, especially as an artist. You're also a teacher. So how that was now being in the pandemic when that first happened, as we're coming up on like a year now.
I had to do that because I was interested in like how people are really doing. Because we can make our mouth say anything. I have $1 million in the bank. See how that slithered right off my tongue? But it's not the truth. You know what I mean? I always like, if I raise the roof off people's houses and look at them, like, how are you really living? And so I wanted to put something out there like, what is really going on? Are there people in, if you struggle with alcoholism, like, and you can't really get to meetings, you got Zoom meetings, like, how are you dealing with wanting a glass of wine? Like, how are you dealing with if you're in the house with somebody that that's toxic? And you might not have the money to get out of the situation. Like, what are people really going through? What about mental issues? Like, what is really happening? And then how are you going to come out of this thing when we're social people? Like, you know what I'm saying? After 2 weeks, it was real cute for 2 weeks. And so I was dealing with my own stuff, going through, my stuff at the house and stuff. I'm newly single. And so I was going through all of that, right? And so I had to try to unpack that. And I was like, I wonder who else is trying to navigate and go through these kind of things as well. So I made the short just to show, the breakdown of what could be happening to somebody mentally, what could be happening to somebody that's struggling with, they don't drink, but they want to drink because you're in here and you don't have your support system. What does that look like if you're going through something where you and the person that you're with are done, but you can't really split right now because, COVID or whatever, and anything that may be happening inside of that world. I wanted to really take a look at that. I wish that I would have had more time to do the short and dig a little bit deeper, but it was my first go at it, right? And so now I learned that you need more time with film. Yes. And, and you need to be a little bit more specific about what it is you're trying to target. But I tried it. Let me throw it out there and see what happens. And it was a cute little response. And I think I could have gotten better, but it was my first time, trying something like that. And I'm really proud of myself that I actually tried it. I did it, and when I do it again, I'll know better what to do next. But I just wanted to touch. I'm always about touching the real and touching the raw. I'm not interested in fake and phony. I'm not interested in shallow. Like, if you're shallow, I'm gonna just be looking at you like, okay, that's real cute, but let's go deep, And so that's what I'm interested in. And I think next time I want to go a little bit deeper, but that's what that came from.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is, you are a trailblazer. You have been a producer. You've been an actress. You, like you said, when you were little kids, you had people lining up to do the skits, do the shows, and we salute you on your project. And like you said, I know it's only going to get bigger and better. And I hope y'all get to see me in a Tanya Jackson produced film.
It's gonna happen.
Exactly. So I want to talk to you about what is the importance of having Black artists behind the creation of these Black stories. Like, do you see a difference when it might be another person or not the same ethnicity or race that are behind these stories versus when we are telling our stories?
Well, it's completely necessary because it's going to come from a real place. Like, it's going to come from an experience that's been lived. Or even if you haven't lived it, you've heard about it, or you've been in a room with it. Look, if somebody's gonna do it and they're not of that ethnicity, you better have 12 people in the room that are, and you need to be listening to them. I'm about to launch something now for men. That's another passion project. Baby, when I tell you, but here's the thing. The first meeting that we're having, all of those men that are coming in the room, my model that I'm putting, I'm saying, here, y'all, this is what I have. Y'all tell me what's right and what's wrong. I'm letting all of those men help me help them. Because I'm not a man. I mean, I have a son, I have brothers, I'm Black. But these are Black brothers, and we're going in the community to help young Black men. So I need these brothers to come up in here and tell me what it is that I need to do. Same thing, like I'm a woman, so I'm not going to try to do that. I could do y'all's workshop all day because I'm a girl. But that's so I was the same thing. I think that it's necessary, and they have to have us in the room so that the story can be told in a truthful way. Like, that's real. Like, if I'm trying to tell a story about a white woman, I need to have some white women because I'm not white. I don't know what that's about. I know what it's like to be a woman, but I don't know what it's like to be a white woman. So I wouldn't even try that. I mean, unless I had like 12 white women there with me. That's just, you know what I'm saying? I just look at it that way. But I mean, there's some people that's like, it doesn't need to be. It can just be a human experience. And I can vibe with that too. Okay, that's cool. But for me, I think differently. I just think that you need to have somebody who's experienced it, who tasted, smelt it, touched it, lived it. You know what I mean? In order to make it pop off true and for us to feel it in a real way. Because, you know, we're blues people, we're jazz people, we're feeling people. That's why Maya Angelou could say, you know, people can say something, what is it? You never forget how people make you feel. You might forget what they say, but that's true because that's how we are. Even if somebody make you, girl, I don't know what she said, but I know I felt some type of way. Mm. Whatever she said, she made me feel some type of way. Okay, so that's what we are. That's who we are, and you have to know that experience.
Exactly. And we touched on that a little on the earlier segment, but how Black stories are universal. Like, we can tell our stories and other people can relate, but it needs to come from us so that it is authentic. But we have universality. People can look at our stories and be like, oh yes, I identify with that. I identify with that. Because when you look at music, music is universal. So why isn't the same thing about our stories?
It's very true. And that's why I'm so happy that I've been a Penumbra Theater Company member for almost 27 years. And I was able to cut my teeth on August Wilson. Like, I've done all his plays except probably 3. Some of them I've done twice. And I remember them up there in Minnesota when he was there writing at Penumbra, you know, at the Playwrights Lab and all of that kind of stuff. And just being able to be in the room and do those shows with people who knew him personally, me knowing him and stuff like that, telling those Black stories, but all of those white people coming in there and feeling the universal thing that you talked about, because our stories are universal. That's why he was so famous and is so famous, because those stories are Black, but everybody can relate to whatever it is. All of our stories, you can relate to it if you let yourself. You know what I mean? I mean, some things are extremely specific to us, and white people be like, I don't know what that is, Charles. But for the part your hair, put some grease. What you talking about? You know, a pressing comb. But as far as getting popped, you know. But as far as that's concerned, yes, definitely universal. Definitely our stories are universal.
So I know that you are a hardworking, driven, you booked from Sunday to Sunday a woman, but I want to ask you, what are some things you do for self-care to also keep you accountable, make sure you are self-caring, but what are some things you like to do to relax, to unwind?
You know, sometimes, I mean, I like to go and have a nice, cute little dance every now and then. I like to go get my dance on. And that's something that I came back to here lately. You know, put on some cute clothes and just go dance somewhere. And if nobody want to go, I go by myself. And I meet all of these people. I be like, who are y'all? I be having all these new friends and new 5 boyfriends and stuff like that. You know, because just I go out in my energy just to have a good time. Or sometimes I just like to be alone, wind down. I might watch something on television. I might read a book. I love all things about manifestation and vibrations. Love studying the Bible. Love listening to anything God-centered, scriptures, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Anything that helps me to vibrate higher. I have a little waterfall thing in my house because I love the water. I love the beach. I could be at the beach in that water all day. You want my heart? A nice playlist? Take me to the beach. I might fall in love with you.
Make sure y'all write that down.
I might fall in love with you. I'll be your woman. because I love it. I can just go to the beach. And the thing is, Atlanta doesn't give me that as much. Coming from Minnesota, Atlanta, 10,000 lakes, 5-10 minutes, I'm at the water at any time. I can sit out there all alone, write, cry, laugh, do whatever, watch the sunset and go down on the water. So those are some of the things that I like to do. And sometimes I just like to just be quiet and sit, because I don't get a lot of time with that. And I do a lot of reflecting. And I think I cry every day. And I think that is cleansing, because I've been through so much, good and bad, that a lot of time when I'm doing that spiritual work, I do spiritual work every day, hours. It's always spirituality with me. And so all of that reflecting and asking God to make me smaller, make him bigger, show me what to do. How can I serve? Rip me wide open and pour into me so that I can be a vessel, right? Because I know all this stuff, this don't mean nothing. We're all spirits. This house in this body, right? And so I ask God to show me how I can be more connected to the spirits that are coming toward me. And so a lot of times I just sit there if I can't get to the water and just breathe. And I love yoga. I love to do a cute little workout. You know what I mean? So all things self-care. I'm a self-care fanatic. I just love it. Even though it will be weird, because it seems like I absolutely don't take care of myself sometimes because I work so much, but I squeeze the time in. And the way that I do it is that a lot of times I'm up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes against my will, and I go right to spirituality. I go right to prayer. I go right to thanking God. I go right to listening to my morning meditations, all of that stuff, just so I can make it through the day. Because I figure if God, woke me up that early, that's what I'm supposed to do. So by 11 o'clock, I've done 13 things.
And I know you have inspired that for me, because I know during our personal classes and coaching, you have told me, like, check in with the source. You need to check in with the source every day, because that's where it's coming from. So I have also adopted I don't wake up at 5 now, y'all. I mean, I might, if the spirit moves me at 5, I might get up, but I'm not there yet. I wake up around 7:30, and I do what I have to do.
No, that's cute. 7:30 is cute. So it's against my will, is what I'm saying. Most of the time, and sometimes I go out and do my cute little dancing, and I'm like, okay, I'm asleep. And sometimes I get to 7, 8, or 9. But I don't know what it is with that 4 or 5. God, he nudges me every single time, even if that's just to, go and do my little personal stuff in the bathroom. But, that's just, what it is. So I just follow it. And it could be because I'm older, because I heard when you get older, you start getting up earlier. That's what I heard, and so I just, okay, older ladies, let me just do what y'all told me to do. Let me just get up. Because I never understood, because one of my spiritual advisors would talk about there's 24 hours in the day and you can do everything that you want. And I couldn't figure it out. And I went, I got to wake up earlier. That's how, because when I wake up earlier, then I can get most things done. And but let me tell you something. When my body and when I'm done, I'll shut it down. I don't care what I have to do. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to shut everything down. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to do me. And I might disappear. I might go MIA, because I just have to. I just have to. And I do like to shop. I love a cute shoe and a nice outfit.
Okay, because we could tell from that top you got on right there.
I love all things hair and nails. Like, I'm a girly girl. I love all things beauty and fashion. I really, really do. If I could really afford it, honey, I would be giving you couture, but I can't. I love it. I love to watch fashion. I just love all that stuff. So I'm really into that a lot, more than people actually know. That's the only shallow part of me. Like, everything else is deep. But when it comes to clothes and shoes and stuff, I can get a little shallow, honey, because you say, where you going? I'll be like, oh, Lord, what am I going to wear? That's the first thing.
That's the first thing I'm thinking about. What am I gonna wear? How's my hair gonna look? Ooh, I need to do my makeup. How about I got my eyebrows plucked? I don't know.
I gotta do all the things, child, all the things. And so if there's anything shallow about me, that will be the only thing. All things fashion, all things cute. I just love it.
Absolutely. And we love to see our Black women in luxury, in couture, in fashion. And we are manifesting that for you.
All of that. I love when y'all be looking cute. Because, if you notice, every time y'all came in, I was like, y'all look so pretty. Like, and I meant that. I'm looking at y'all's faces. Everybody was beat to the guy. Like, everybody was so pretty, And so I just love that for us. Because, they want us to throw on some kind of scarf and look like something drug up from somewhere. Oh, no. And I even teach that in my coaching. Like, okay, how you showing up? You know what I mean? How are you showing up? You know, and I'm not saying that it has to be as shallow as, you know, whatever. But I mean, you still need to be cute, a piece of rouge, or some, girl, pull it, try.
It's the try. Okay, so let people know where they can follow you and what things you might have coming up that we can support you. You know, if it's a stream, where can we tune in at, all of that?
Well, you know, I'm auditioning like an insane person, and I have these projects that I'm working on. There may be a project that I have coming up, but you know, I can't really talk about. Like, I just did a project, but I signed an NDA, so I can't talk about it. You know, and I do have something that's out now, but I haven't seen it yet, so I will not be telling until I look at it with my own eyeballs, because I don't know if I'm on the editing floor, if I'm looking crazy. You know, so I do have something else. So just be looking for that. But the big thing is that where I signed the NDA, I can't say, but I do have something coming out. Of course, we can't do any theater, you know, but I just did something with True Colors. And so, you know, that'll be coming out. We'll be streaming that very soon. I don't know, you work over there, so you may know the dates. I don't have them in front of me. We just did the Red Velvet piece that IA wrote. And so we'll be doing that. That's coming up, I think, in a couple weeks. Yeah, in a couple weeks. Yeah, and I am mounting another workshop for younger kids, for middle to, I think, 18, and it's going to be for young kids who have the talent, or I can really have the talent, but they don't know how to get there. And then I'm going to do a workshop for the parents, the momagers and the dads who do it, to tell them this is what you need to do to get your child agent, to try to get your child or whatever. And it's going to be a fashion aspect to it. I'm bringing in YB Limited. So it'll be a fashion and acting camp that I'm doing this summer in June for a few weeks. And the thing that I'm doing with the young men, I'm pulling together these brothers. I have some actors. I have a couple of filmmakers. I have some formerly incarcerated brothers that are coming in. And we're going to go into spaces and try to help some of these young men who are right on the cuff, who could either go to prison or could do something with their lives, maybe artistically, maybe whatever. But we're going to go in and snatch them up by the collar and see if we can plant some seeds and get them to get on the right track. And I got about 6 brothers assembled.
Yes. Okay, you all. So if you are interested in any of these programs, you got a younger sibling, a younger cousin that you might want to get, that wants to get into the business, you know, some young men, make sure you follow Tanya M. Jackson on Instagram so you can stay tuned for all of her work. We can't wait to see what the NDA is. We will be tuned in and waiting for that, to see the clips. I'm excited for you. But we just thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you just for talking with me, for sharing with me. You dropped a lot of gems. I will be tuned into this and be like, let me write that down. Let me go back. She said something. Good. But we just thank you so much for being here with us today.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I'm just always so grateful and so honored and just so humbled, right, that I get to do this kind of work. I'm an actress first. Everybody knows that. But I'm also an artist for social change and an activist. And so I just like to make sure that I give back again for the 100th time what was so freely given to me. And I'm always open and I'm always available for everybody, particularly for my Black women, my younger Black women. I'm here for y'all. Like, I got you, right? And everything that I do, if you ask anybody, when we say our prayers backstage, I'm always here to rep the culture. It's the culture for me.
It's the culture for me.
I belong to y'all.
Thank you. And the culture appreciates you. The culture, I'll speak for the culture. The culture, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, y'all.
Absolutely. I'll see you later.
All right, big love. Bye-bye.
Y'all, I'm so happy that you all got to meet my mentor, Tanya M. Jackson. She is phenomenal, a trailblazer, an activist, an artist, a producer, just all around. So if you are trying to connect with her, don't forget to follow her on Instagram. Tanya MC right here, Tanya M. Jackson. Make sure you follow her, connect with her, just see what she's doing, be inspired, any of those things. And so as we close out for this week, I do want to honor and send love and care to the women who were attacked in Atlanta, the several women that were attacked. Violence against women is real, and we need to be vigilant. We need to talk to each other. We need to protect our women. Okay, We need to protect all women, okay? That was a tragedy, and we really just want to send our love and our condolences to those women and their family and their friends during this time. And don't forget that BTG is going to have Monologue Mondays. Monologue Mondays are coming up. Stay tuned for more information, but make sure if you follow Artists of Color ATL, Monologue Mondays, we are going to roll those out. So start prepping your monologues, send them to us. And if you get chosen, you might get a little $25 gifts for your hard work. So we can't wait to share that with you all. They're coming April 1st. Stay tuned in. I would just like to say that nothing in this world happens without a woman. Thank you for celebrating Women's History Month with us, and BTG out.